Okay, welcome to the December 12th, 2023 session of Clementine SDR and uh, Hamsai with Tapper and Hamsai uh, technical session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week we had the Tapper Mini DCC. Um, and that consumed most of us gave talks on that. That is on YouTube if you missed it. So there are many very interesting talks. Okay, next on the list, let's go with David McGaw. Go ahead and give your report.
Oh, hello everyone. And yeah, I was able to make most of the mini DCC, very informative. And I hope we were able to get word out to people about what we're up to here.
Yeah.
And I guess that's about it. We just got flooding here, which is rare for December. But I guess
Is it rain or snow?
mostly rain for us. To the
Okay.
north, it was snow. We were right on the edge. But we've got what I call the usual flooding going on.
Okay.
And yeah, just also, I wanted to make note that there's been some interesting propagation, good during the day and like almost nothing at night. Uh, I was noticing last night I was getting like 5 megahertz WWV and 10 megahertz was almost gone.
Wow.
So interesting times. Back to net.
Very good. Next on the list is David KD0 EAG. Go ahead, David.
Well, I've been pottering mostly, trying to get my kind of gotten into some cleaning, though it might not be entirely recognized as that. But I'm finding all sorts of good things. And but nothing real exciting, some coding and some work on the Clementine, but that's it for me.
And I will mention that I had a transmitter that was transmitting my call sign KV0S at David's house, and Rob mentioned that it should probably not do that. So we changed it over, and it is now transmitting as KD0 EAG. So that is the same station and same location, just we could change the call sign. Okay, next on the list is Jim, K4BSE. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, good evening, all. Not a whole lot related to ham radio going on here. I did a couple of weeks ago. Finally, I don't remember whether I mentioned it or not. Got all of the 3 ham site experiments in a reasonable space in a small rack and on the desktop, and got some space back because I was not spread out all over everything. But otherwise, that continues. I've still got to watch it. Occasionally, I do something to mess up some of the readings, and I don't catch it until the next day. So I got to figure out how I discipline myself not to do that. Otherwise, not a whole lot going on here. Back to net, K4BSE.
Okay, Rob, are you at a safe place to talk, or should we?
I've just pulled it. I just pulled into my. This is a perfectly good spot for me to talk.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Make your report.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll make it short. I enjoyed the mini CC. I viewed all of it. And in the last week was that WhisperNet went down. The WhisperNet.org server went down almost for 2 hours. 2 days.
2 days, yes.
So it was a, and it's just a real, I think, a real vulnerability to our data gathering service.
Yeah.
The whispered daemon sites are, cached all of their spots and uploaded them. But if you look at the total spot count over the last week, you'll see a dip to, I think, about 1/4, because when it came back up, the whisper demon sites then backfilled and uploaded all theirs and filled in. But people that are running WSJTX, their spots were lost.
Yeah.
So about for that period of time, there was a tremendous loss of spots. So I don't know how that gets solved. One end of it is it did stimulate Phil VK7JJ to enhance his whisper.rock site, so he can select whether he gets from Whisper. Well, he always gets them from me, but he gets them either from my scrape of WhisperNet or from the Whisper Daemon spot database, which is a subset. Of course, it's only the Whisper Daemon sites, but they talk directly to the Whisper Daemon. So in future outages, there's a way to see yourself if you want, by switching that radio button in his. Other than that, Franco and I are working on. We're, I think, very close to being able to take the grape data, get data from Whisper Daemon, the time stations up to the grape network. So that's my focus for the week, and then of course the tour, KPH tour, with the group on Wednesday, and a poster presentation on Friday next to Nathaniel in the hall. Okay, so back to Net, and I may turn off the camera. I gotta go take stuff into the house. So I'll be lurking for a few minutes.
Okay, very good. And next on the list is Michael, AAAK. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Greetings to everyone listening. I enjoyed the Tapper Mini DCC. Good information. Back to you, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list is Franco, K4VZ.
Hey, Dave.
I got your call sign right this time.
Yeah, you did.
I saw it misappropriated.
Oh, it's okay. Anyhow, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dave. Congratulations to Dave and Dave for your presentation and Mini Tapper. They were really, Mini DCC were really good. I also noticed in the Tapper that the Mini DCC seems to be an interest for the TangerineSDR. So several questions, so it's really in the spot on, I think, on the interest of Tapper and all the groups, and also especially because a good kit could help Tapper to, publicize it and make it a product that people are interested in. So that's my first comment. The second thing, as Rob has mentioned, we are working on getting the data from Whisper Daemon into a format called digital RF, which is what Nathaniel and Bill Engelke would like to have for the Grape network data. We have a couple of issues. Probably if there is time after the call, I can discuss the issues. But a couple of things that we want to discuss with Rob, and I don't want to burden you with that stuff, and I can talk about that after the call. I'm back to you, Dave.
Okay, very good, and thanks for all that you're doing. So next on the list is Jonathan, KC3EEY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. I do have quite a bit of VLF projects that I was working on this week. I wanted to mention that I absolutely loved and enjoyed the Tapper Mini DCC, and a big thank you to everybody who worked very hard worked very hard behind the scenes to make it all happen. I always really enjoy Tapper's DCC, and in fact, it was Tapper's DCC that got me involved in these projects with Nathaniel. So thank you very much to everybody that
Good.
made it happen, and I worked very hard on it, and also everybody that presented. There was a lot of really good information, and it's a really good resource to have on YouTube as well. I've been doing some experimentation with visualization and analysis of VLF data, just to kind of see and look at things in a different way. I have here this is a stacked plot of NAA for December 8th. So what I was able to do was I was able to change the phase calculation from modulo 180 to modulo 90 to give a more accurate absolute phase value for carrier phase. So this allows you to capture the modulation phase, which is of course stable, and it gives you a much better, more accurate value for carrier phase. You can see the stable phase overnight, the jump in phase during dawn, and the gradual increase and decrease as the ionosphere changed over the day, and the phase change at dusk. So this was a really nice result here, and I was actually quite happy with this. So moving forward, I'm going to be looking a little bit more closely on these Navy VLF transmitters, because they're excellent sounders of the ionosphere, at least the D&E layers. So you can get a lot of really good data. And speaking of Dave's propagation conditions, usually around this time of year, the Russian Alpha navigation system can be heard here in Pennsylvania. So the Russian Alpha navigation system is a system that was similar to the US's Omega navigation system, using VLF beacons for navigation purposes, and you could usually hear the beeps of the tones through your VLF receiver, and they could be detected. They're usually detected this month, and also next month. And I'm not really sure why, but it seems to have a seasonal component of the propagation, which is really interesting to find out. Lastly, there was another thing that I was playing with. This was I was interested in what I can do with power line frequency visualization. So this is a plot of power line frequency deviation for December 6th for a period of 4 hours. The horizontal scale is in seconds, so it's actually over 4 hours, and the vertical scale is frequency deviation of the 180 hertz harmonic. So what I was able to do was some signal processing. I was first able to filter the harmonic, and then feed it into an FM decoder. So these are these are tools in VLFRX tools. So first what I did, I was able to use a brick wall filter at 180 hertz. And then I downsampled and I fed it into an FM decoder, which outputted the frequency deviation of 180 hertz. And I downsampled that further. And what you're seeing is deviation in the power line frequency. So it's actually quite interesting that how the power line frequency changes over time, even just by a very small amount. And with this sorts of with this signal processing, you could actually see it in action. What's interesting is that with this, you could actually look at the load that's on the grid. If you notice a major deviation in frequency, a major decrease in frequency, which would indicate a decrease in generating capacity, the frequency will actually slow down. So, and that was observed on the UK's grid there was a lightning strike that actually took out some of the generating capacity of the UK's grid, and it took a couple seconds for it to recover, and you could actually see the recovery in the grid frequency. So this is kind of the start of monitoring that. So not only can you monitor VLF natural radio and VLF transmitters and other things, but you can do grid studies as well, because Powerline Hum is actually a very, very strong signal. So this is actually pretty interesting, and I want to investigate this further. That's all I have. Back to the
Jonathan, I had two questions. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. First question, is the receive site the one on Nathaniel's farm?
Yes.
Okay. Second question, with the power line, do you feel like it's distance proximity, or is this reflecting the higher transmission voltages, those power lines, as opposed to the smaller power lines in the local area of the receiver?
Well, that's actually difficult to answer, because what you're seeing is really the influence of both.
Okay.
So if you were to, so what you'd really be able to tell is if you have have both a local and a regional power outage. So if you have a regional
Okay.
power outage, which cuts off power to your local distribution, then you could kind of see the influence of that. There was a power outage recently at Nathaniel's house, and I was able to actually capture that, which included, it was initially hum levels dropped. There was a significant drop, and then they dropped to below the noise. So I believe there were multiple. There was both a local and a regional power outage, but since Powerline Hum is so omnipresent everywhere, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where it's coming from. Once I get the H-field loops installed, I'm able to kind of figure out better directionality of where these signals are coming from. So I could kind of pinpoint which sections of local and regional power lines that that it could be coming from. But yeah, that's a very good question, and it's very hard to tell if there are any individual lines or regions that could contribute to that.
Yeah, on the online discussion, email discussion about this, Phil Erickson had piped up, mentioned that it's coming from everywhere.
Yes, I did see that email, but I was just wanted to ask Nathaniel what he thought about it. So it may be where we need a few more receivers.
I
Indeed.
definitely agree, and that's definitely my plan is to get a bunch more receivers out there eventually.
The only part I know is not contributing to it is the high voltage DC lines.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I think we've covered everybody that's here tonight. I mentioned before we went on the recording that the 2 dates, December 25th is Christmas Day, and that was one of our sessions was scheduled for that, and the other one is January 1st, which is New Year's Day. And I assume that we won't have a call in on those 2 days because
Yeah,
they're
Nathaniel's
holidays.
norm has been if it's a holiday,
Yeah, don't
we
do
don't
it.
hold it.
So I just will give you a heads up. We have one more date before Christmas, and then there'll be those 2 dates on Christmas and New Year's. And I'll repeat that next week. So anyway, at this point, we're open for general discussion.
One thing I'll bring
Um,
up is
Yep.
I was interested in the discussion during the mini DCC about 2-channel versus 1. And I had suggested the Red Pitaya clone that has come out. And the person who was asking, I forget who it was, said, oh yeah, I'd been working with that, but it has an FPGA in the way. 2 things I'd like to say on that. First, it's very easy to run pipeline through an FPGA. But secondly, we might consider a dual version of our Clementine so that we have 2 A to Ds running synchronized by us rather than
Yes.
trying to get 2 independent A to Ds to synchronize.
Well, we already have a good design from Tom. We just
Well,
have
we
to-
have we have the A to D board.
right.
If we can get the assembly problems resolved.
Yes.
But the question is then going to be the interface to the to USB 3.
Yes.
Can we pipeline it? Which I think the short answer is yes. We probably would have to run it at each one at half rate of what we are expecting out of the current single A to D. But that should be very easy for us to do.
So I wanted to see if either Franco or Dave Witten have any.
Yeah, I have a
comments.
couple of comments to make to what. So first of all, I think the person that was mentioning that was Glenn Elmore and 6GN, if I remember
That sounds
correctly,
right.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Glenn also published, I think, on the Whisper Demon group, something they called the Strawman SDR or something like that. I can find the link for you and send it to you if you're interested, where he puts together basically 2 RX88s with the same clock to build exactly what you were telling Dave. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you are exactly right. So the FX3, the Cypress chip, can take a 32-bit input, not necessarily 16. So Oscar Taylor, when he built his super cheap, I would call it RX-88, he basically just did, the 1 ADC and 16-bit, okay? But there is enough pins, actually, there is enough, how to say, SDK support to do 32 bits. So the
But
idea would be that
is there interface bandwidth out the
okay, so let's
USB?
do quickly the math, okay? So if you run at about, let's say 100 megahertz, because it's a good number just to get started, and then we can go up and down from there, okay? So 100 megahertz, okay, times, sorry, 2 ADCs at 16 bits times 2 is 32, so 4 bytes, okay? So that makes basically 400 megabytes per second, right? Are you with me so far?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so 400 megabyte per second times 8 makes about 3200 bit per second, 3.2 gigabit per second. Okay, you are really close to the edge of what USB 3 can do, because if you remember the so-called time in hours called the signaling clock of the USB 3 is a 5 gigabit per second, which of course is the theoretical maximum. If you look at the data at the application notes from Cypress, when you stream the best, which is in bulk mode with a burst of 16, you can get pretty close to 3.6, I think. So probably 110 megahertz or something like that. You could do that, okay? But of course you have to design everything as much streamlined, so you have no room for mistakes. You have to do it everything right in order to get to that speed. There's a lot of constraints, but it's doable. It's something that I think we should consider definitely for the Clementine. And between us, I'm gonna get for Christmas one of those TRX duos, so I'm gonna be playing with the FPGA 2 starting, in 2 weeks probably.
Okay.
I,
Well,
I
the
was
other
going
thing.
to,
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say that I'm at the point with the Clementine right now, at least on the board layout part, where I'm putting down the ADC on the board, and whether I'm still going to do a lot of testing first, but but while I was doing it, I was really going to put the footprints for 2 and then
okay.
try to
And I was not
takes
aware
to-
that it makes sense that there would be 32 pins to connect to, so you don't have to actually interleave. You could have 2 independent
Yeah, you
connections.
could have 2 independent.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm used to
Well,
interleaving.
And
Yeah,
and the other option too is in early days we can run it at a narrower bandwidth
Right, we can run at
to
lower
learn
rate and get
to
it to
learn
work
how to
and then
work. Yes. And then
see
as
what
the
it is.
technology changes, we can just advance
Yeah.
with.
Oh, but that would be great, Dave, if you can.
I don't guarantee it's going to be an optimal high frequency
No,
design,
no, but this is a prototype.
Yep, and so I would assume that there would be some made with a single, and tested and checked out, and then if that looks nice, we might try both and
Right.
Move from there. But it will take the collective, chops of everybody who's done anything like this
Right.
to get anywhere near.
Well, I'm happy to help on the hardware side of that.
Sure.
Yeah, David,
Take a look at it.
David, there's another aspect to consider is that of the Clementine or X88, the ADC is a component that costs the most, so if you buy the usual, it's $150 or maybe $140. So if you put the one FX3, which is $20, and 2, basically you double the cost of the hardware. So
I'm a little
again,
surprised it's as expensive as it is, given how old it is. It's been around a while.
Okay, let's start with the zero thing. It's expensive if you buy from Mauser or from but if you buy from Alibaba, is $15.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another.
We should certainly
aspect to
get some of those and see if they are really up to snuff.
I think we should build boards with both chips and then actually have somebody
Yep.
that has the equipment analyze the two outputs.
Indeed.
I've just had too many balls in the air and kind of spent too little in my pocketbook for me to be comfortable. I was going to buy some on Alibaba just to see if I can route it over to JCL PCB to have them assembled.
Yeah, well, also, I don't know what your connections are, but someone who's actively in the design business, like Scotty or such, might be able to get samples.
Well, I was told by Scotty that he has some stock. Now he's willing to share.
Of the 2208.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, at the price they are on Alibaba, it's not a problem.
I
Yeah.
think during the early testing, we don't need to do that, but
Yep.
assembly is more of a question, because if we're using the kind of on-demand assembly model that a lot of folks want us to follow with Tapper from now on, so we don't have big stockpiles of stuff that may or may not sell. We have to be sure that we have someone, if the whole pathway works for us.
Or find a custom solderer that will do it.
Well, I think
Not
that's
at the
gonna be a lot
highest.
harder.
Yes.
Finding someone here who will do that,
Well,
and
we
not-
do reflow in-house
Sure.
at Dartmouth, but
But
Yeah,
we
well-
need somebody who can do
Okay.
several hundred.
right.
No, can I say something though, guys? All those RX-88As are made with the counterfeit chips for sure, because
I'm
they
sure.
wouldn't be able to sell. So if you or anyone who has RX-88 who has decent tools and measurement, they can start characterizing the RX-88, and I get you, it's the same as if you're buying from Alibaba. You don't
Yeah.
need really to put anything together. So if you have, a signal generator and start, spectrum measurement and so on, we can see how those counterfeit LTC 228 behave. They're pretty
Yeah,
all
and
counterfeit.
Dave, you have eval board for those chips, right?
I'm sorry.
An evaluation board for the
Yes, I do.
yeah, so we can compare it to that. That will have a
Yeah.
Yeah. I have
no good.
a couple different variants of the
Yeah, so Franco's
LPC.
right. We can use what we have to compare.
Or that the fact that Rob and Clint and everybody is using the X8 and they get good measurement. I mean, so far they haven't really been complaining too loudly. It makes me think that they're not too bad, wherever they come from,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and
But
it still makes sense. The same design could be used with either chip. It's just getting it put together.
no, absolutely.
Well, the other thing to consider. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I just a quick aside. Have we heard anything from Scotty about the rework for the
There
RF
was,
boards?
I've heard nothing about the rework, and he's moved into his house. He has no lab and everything's in boxes.
Right. Well, but
So-
this presumably is with his assembler, not with him. himself.
Yes, but he has not said
Yeah.
anything to me.
Okay.
Actually, I talked to him in October, and then I talked to him Friday.
Yeah,
before
it was
the
good to
meeting.
see him come on from his house.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the extent
Okay.
of what I know.
just wondered if we had an update on that.
Not,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Oh.
Going back to what I was saying, is the other thing I was thinking is that if the Clementine SDR ends up costing, $400, you're gonna get a smaller market than if it costs $200, So
Oh yes.
it goes exponentially negative of the price, if you want to give
Right.
an idea of the popularity of something, because that's why we all go with RX-88s, because they are $150 each, so they're kind of almost disposable, quote unquote,
Right.
Yeah.
But if you compare the cost to a Perseus or something like that, you have to do the same kind of performance, So Tapper is going to become much harder to market, in my opinion. That's
Correct. It is really hard to sell a lot of the high-end products unless there's some extraordinary demonstration that it's much better.
yeah.
But on a commercial market, there may be other reasons to do it. So, not a ham type market.
But these are the same chips. What ADCs are used in the red pitaya, for instance?
The Repitai official uses an AD XYZ. I have 9, I forgot. Maybe the same that Tom was using or something very
Okay.
close to that.
Yeah.
There's
While
actually
the
both-
Chinese, for the TRX Duo, they put the LTC 2208s because, again, they're $15 each, so they basically throw them like the, like
Yeah.
the,
Yes.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I mean, again, Pitaya cost, I think, the SDR one cost what, $700, $800. I could not have afforded, I could not buy something like. I mean, honestly, that's. But if I spend $230 for a TRX Duo, then
Yep.
not too bad. I mean, assuming that works, decently. Plus, for me, I just toys, so I don't really.
More than one version of the red pitaya, isn't there?
There's
Yeah, there are at least three so
bit.
far.
Which one is the real Rob?
I have two. I have a 14
Yeah,
and a
I don't know.
16.
One is a clone. One is a clone.
Oh, I don't have a
No,
clone.
but I've got one of the original red pitayas, which I think
I
was
have
25
There's
megahertz.
at least
one.
a couple different original ones.
Yes, at least two, if not three. And then there's the clone.
There's a 14 and a 16-bit one.
Right. I have a 14-bit original. And then there was I think mine's 125 megahertz, and then there's 122.88.
Right.
And then I think then there's a 16-bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's three.
I was
just,
using.
just
Sorry.
another quick one. There are choices for chips. I have actually had some experience with a TI chip that's a dual 16-bit. That is looking like its single piece price is $200. Currently.
How many mega samples?
That's a 250 mega sample.
Oh wow.
2-channel, 16-bit.
That's a monster.
Yeah, and it's been around a while. Because I was working with it some years ago now. Yeah, there are other choices out there that could keep our costs a little bit lower, even if we bought factory.
So Dave, you may have to build an ugly for A to D's.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, or just a clone of the LTC demo board
Right.
and which I think they have all the schematics and all even the CAD, maybe even the CAD drawings out there for that.
Yeah.
That's pretty well documented. But there also could be something new at any time, I would suspect.
I would suspect.
Yeah, I just put the TI chip that I know about in the link. I've also worked with one that's 1.5 gigasample per second, but that's only a single.
I can imagine how much it costs. That one.
How do
Didn't
they
cost
do,
us anything. It's a educational discount.
how do they do that? I mean, I was reading about some stuff from Glenn about using multiple chips in a patent from Agilent that about using multiple ones in a round robin sort of
Right.
arrangement. Yeah. which is the patent has expired apparently.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, yeah, he put a whole bunch of them online and clocked them in sequence.
Because I got one time I stumbled onto the SETI development sites, and they seem to be doing some insanely high end hardware. And
Right.
like, wow, where do you get this stuff?
Yeah, Paul Horowitz at
That-
MIT.
yeah, it was scary.
I was actually at one of the inaugurations of one of those receivers at the Harvard Mass SETI site.
I will also
Talking
talk
about
about
some years ago, that's
yeah.
got to be 30 years ago.
Well, this was more like 3 years ago.
Yeah, well,
You
that
know,
you're right that the SETI project really does push the hardware,
you need
multi-channel
Paul Allen or somebody to pay
receivers.
the bills, but
Yeah, I would like to also talk quickly about digital RF if we have time. There's a couple of issues that I'd like to discuss with the group. So let me expand on what I was saying earlier. When Nathaniel and Bill collect their data, they like in this format called Digital RF by MIT. And this format is basically stores everything in a data set in a format called HD F5 or something like that, okay, which is a standard format. There is, nothing, but it is well documented and there's a good API for that. The problem or the thing that we are working with is the following. With the Philcarn KI9Q radio, we can actually record not just one channel or let's say, one frequency of WWV, but we can record all of them, okay? And we can record all of the frequency of CHU at the same time. So we basically have, I don't know, 10, 12 channels that we can record at the same time. In that scenario, what Digital RF wants a set of so-called sub-channels, okay? So you basically create not just one data set, but a parallel set of n, in this case, say a dozen data sets that you stream to Digital RF. The one constraint that they have is that you have to basically, for those who are familiar with NumPy, you have to create a NumPy array of, wide 12 and with your length in a certain number of samples, okay? And when we were looking at data sets that we have currently at KFS, we found out that the program WD record that Rob and Clean Throat is split this file every minute, okay? So you would expect to have a certain number of files, samples per each file, assuming, of course, that the XADA works correctly. But we found out there is some kind of variance in the number of samples. Let me just give you some numbers that will make sense, okay? They stream currently at 16 kilo samples per second, okay? If you look in a minute, you do 16,000 times 60, it should be in theory 960,000 samples per files, okay? Because that's how the math turns out, okay? But in analyzing those files, we found out that some files has correctly 960,000, but some of them have, a little more samples, some of less, little less samples, because the way the files are split are on the clock of the, NTP clocks, and is not always 100% accurate. And so we are basically, with Rob and Phil, we are scratching our heads in order to be able to build a data set that can be loaded in digital ref without having to do too much patching of data, because you would have to add some data here, pull them from there. So it gets a little complicated. And so I was talking to Rob and Phil earlier and say, okay, maybe we can discuss quickly with our group during the Zoom if we have time to see what options we have. So that's basically introduction to the problem. Did I
actually think
catch
that, yeah.
everything?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
you did. I think actually the solution is fairly straightforward. We're not going to know the delay from the sample time to when we start the recording, because when each file is recorded. But I think that it's quite straightforward to ensure that the recorder just records 960,000 samples
Yes.
into each file. Okay, and if since those samples are driven by a GPS disciplined clock, that is, we don't need to pay the PC, the program running on the PC WD recorder doesn't need to pay attention to wall clock time, really, except when it starts. So,
Yeah.
so I'm modifying WD record so that
Okay.
we'll wait until there's it'll just throw away data or samples until it starts, until it reaches the top of the second zero. When it
Okay.
rolls over from second zero, then it will start recording, and it will record from then on 960,000 samples to each subsequent
Perfect.
file. Okay.
Yep.
And I think that we're fine. I mean, there will be some offset. They'll all be offset by the same amount from, A to D sample time to the first what samples in the beginning of there will be some delay there. I think that delay will be on the order of, well, there's what is his 50 millisecond sample windows for his FFTs. So there's probably, and there's 100, 500 microseconds for the packet to get transmitted. You add them all up, probably there'll be delays on the order of 50, 60, 70 milliseconds between the actual sample time and the first sample that's recorded for each minute. But I don't think that's a problem. I mean,
It sounds
right, but
like a tipping bucket kind of thing. You just fill it up when it
and
and start again.
yeah, start again. And as long as as there's no errors, of course, this is
Right.
the problem is that if there's transmission errors and packets get lost, then all the real challenges are going to end up in error handling and recovery from
Right.
this, because I'll need to, if there's packets lost, I'm going to need to resynchronize and go find the next top of minute before I start recording. So, but I haven't seen any of those. If you looked, I mean, Franco, you
No,
looked
they're
at all
pretty
that.
clean. I mean, yeah.
If you sum them all up, the packets that come in, the SDP packets, each are each 320 samples, I think it is, right?
Yeah,
320 samples. There's
Yeah.
320 samples. So that the files that we're currently creating are either 960 or
Right.
960,000 plus or minus exactly the
Yeah.
the 320 samples. And if you sum them all up, there's an equal number that are greater than and less than. So you basically the evidence is that if this mechanism is implemented, that we will be able to have we'll be tracking the GPS clock but with some offset. So
Yeah.
Rob, if you're able to make those changes, I tried to look at the code of Whisper of WD recorder right before here, but I kind of lost it.
it is it started from Phil, and then
Oh, okay.
Clint got into it. But everyone has like you have a writing style. Phil has a coding style, and he also had coding goals for his implementation that are different than ours. So he
Okay.
was his goal was to be able to do record multiple streams simultaneously. Now we're
Yeah.
using this only to record, but he has this notion of you saw probably a session pointers in there, and he had notion
Right,
of,
and that's what
okay,
got me
yeah,
lost.
yeah, and actually there's only one session, okay, in the way we
Oh,
use
okay.
it. Okay,
Okay,
it's not
okay.
multiple sessions, but I didn't want to make too many changes to his code, so basically I try to fit the way we want to use it into the structure, his algorithmic structure, and it worked fine for me to do that the first time. And I threw, but this is a slightly different challenge, and so I need to go through and rework the code a bit, but not much.
Perfect.
I think that basically I just need a trigger. I just need to basically saying we're waiting for the first minute. We're waiting. Throw away this data. We're waiting for the first minute.
Yeah.
So I think it may be a couple of hours of coding, and I'll have it.
Oh,
You know,
perfect. Okay. Then in
okay.
that case, I'm perfectly okay, because if they
So,
are all even, it's very easy to transpose the metrics and send it
Yes,
to ADF. Mm.
yes.
So if we do that, I think I don't know how, if you have your Python code ready, is there any metadata that you need that needs to be associated
Yeah, the
into?
metadata it's a very easy problem to solve. I figure out how it gets done. So basically, what I'm gonna add is similar to what Phil does with this program with the configuration file, and you can put latitude, longitude, the kind of stuff that Bill wants, that Nathaniel wants. Okay.
Okay, well,
Now,
yeah, I mean, we have all that information is
right.
in the Whisper Daemon environment, so we can supply it to you or create that
Yeah, it's
file.
pretty easy to do
Okay,
that, to create the file, and then you can add the antenna type, for instance, other stuff that could be useful in the future. Okay.
yeah.
Right.
For instance, I don't know if you guys do AGC or not, because that could affect the results, the
I don't think
values. So,
I think you have, I turn off the AGC, and I think you almost
okay.
have to for IQ recording.
Yeah.
If the AGC is pumping the amplitude, you're modulating the IQ stream, and
Right.
you can't do that. So
Yeah.
And
I
I would think for science analysis, you wouldn't want that.
Yeah, no, I don't use the AGC at all in any of the Whisper Daemon recordings and recordings for decoding of Whisper or 4W packets. I turn it off.
Yeah, if
It's
you have HEC at all, you have to have that being transmitted along with it,
Yeah.
so you can convolve it later. We do that with our rocket data, but
Okay.
it's a pain in the ass to convolve
Well,
it after the
you
fact.
got a lot of interference in the rocket.
yeah.
Well, we're
Yeah.
actually we actually transmit 5 megahertz bandwidth down analog
Oh,
FM because we don't have the digital bandwidth to get the bits down.
oh,
Ah,
So we send it down analog, but we have it AGC'd, and so we're sending down the baseband plus an AGC signal, and then we convolve it after the fact.
okay.
Huh.
Huh.
Well,
But take it from me, it's a royal pain in the ass. Of course, in the digital realm, you'd have a much better timing
Yeah.
but
connection. But
if the way
what can be done,
Phil has implemented it,
yeah,
he doesn't communicate the changes in the AGC setting.
right.
So
What can be done is not have actual AGC, but you have gain settings.
yeah,
You just have the gain settings sent in the data, but
yeah.
you're not dynamically changing it.
Yeah, the in my experience so far, and now I've worked with at least a dozen 888 sites, Whisper Daemon 888 sites. I have not seen any need for AGC.
With 16-bit, you shouldn't really need
Yeah.
much.
No.
Things,
You have
if
enough
the system
dynamic.
gains are set right, you shouldn't need it.
Yeah,
You're
so
not going to get a strong local signal unexpectedly.
yeah, I mean, if somebody turns on the transmitter, the only place I've seen the 888 overload was somebody had a transmit antenna a few feet away from the receive antenna, and
Right.
we got overload reports from the 888, but I don't see any overload events at any of these sites. In fact, I think we've already told you guys that the 888 itself basically needs an extra 10 dB of gain ahead of it. High frequency gain above 10 megahertz. So you need and then that means you need to have a filter that shoves the gain, it reduces the back to unity gain or towards unity gain below 10 megahertz. But but I think any SDR needs that. I mean, it's any wideband direct sample SDR needs one of these shelving high pass filters in front of it if you're at a quiet site, or you end up being hearing yourself at above 10 megahertz. So
Yeah, well, most of them will have as a broadcast band filter.
Excuse
Yeah,
me,
that-
I'm gonna have to leave at the top of the hour. So I'll leave it on, but
okay.
and then I'll
But-
come back later and shut off the recording.
Dave, I think your site is running. I haven't even looked at it. I presume there's you and Michael, who isn't here, are both.
Michael's working tonight, I think.
Yeah. So, we're Whisper Demon's running there, and I don't know. I don't even look at your site.
I was worried when the Whisper Net site went down, and I watched and it was cranking away just fine. So
Oh yeah, and it took Tom Paratori it took him about 6 hours to flush all of the spots that he'd cached during the outages.
yeah.
So, okay,
So,
well,
okay.
I think that was the core of in my discussion. I have to, I hope I can find some time to work on this tomorrow morning, Franco.
No,
And
but the conference is more important, especially since you have to get the paper and everything that needs to, be flawless.
that's been yeah, that's done. I could share it with you guys if you wanted to see it, but we'll post it up. It's I don't know. It's anyway. It's a oh, here you can. Is this it? No, that isn't it. I don't know. No, I think I closed it. Okay. Anyway, it talks about what we're doing, Whisper and ham radio and for ionospheric measurements and the Whisper sound, and it's I don't know. Nathaniel liked it, except I'd taken out all the logos and at the bottom, and he said, "No, you should put them in there." So
How
I
big
did.
is the conference? How many people there?
There's 20,000 to 30,000 attendees in total.
Wow.
There was perhaps 100 people at the session about the solar eclipse measurements this afternoon. So there seems to be a small subset of people interested in what we're doing. It's kind of I just did a quick trot around the hall and the exhibitions, and it's my first time I visited it. I attended this convention, so it's of course mostly there's a lot of geological stuff and atmospheric, measure contaminants and all that kind of stuff. So it's there is relatively little radio in in this conference, which is, of course, kind of makes sense. I wouldn't expect them to be that interested, but there's like electromagnetic stuff, and so we have. Anyway, this is. Let's see if I bring this up. You can see. I'll just open this. See how long it takes to open. You can see but Nathaniel's, as I said earlier, had put up our the Whisper Demon logo, and here's the. Can I share? Yeah. There. I don't know how to get rid of this part of it, but anyway, are you guys seeing my
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we got
slide?
it.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I see you have an Alexa date in the corner here.
Yes, I was trying to communicate. Here's the equipment. Here's a transmitter that you can use to make these measurements, and here's a receiver you can
Yeah.
use. And
Yeah, especially for this poster. I'm glad you changed the name of the transmitter.
Beacon blaster.
Yes, I think that was my wife. I think is the one who initiated that change. We were
Yeah,
sitting
it's a
at
great
lunch.
name.
Yeah, she didn't create the Whisper Sound name, but she said Beacon Blaster. You don't. She'd been to when she worked at the USGS years ago. She said you don't want to present something called the Beacon Blaster at this conference. You need to come up with a new name.
Right.
And then I don't know, the Whisper Sound idea came to me as a, and it really is what it is. I mean, it's like an ionoson, except it's on the whisper bands. It's
Right. And as
continuous.
one who's built a Digisond, I approve.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad that's I'm glad it makes sense to you and seems accurate. And anyway, so that's I expect the people who walk by they're geologists. So I thought pages too much text um, would be daunting and discourage them. So I was hoping to get something with pictures, some pictures and graphs in it. So. I
That's
had
good.
to, I had that graph in the lower left-hand corner. I had to pick it from last week because if I'd had this week's, there would be this big gap that I showed you earlier where the whisper net went down. So, uh, but, this is Arnie's site. I don't know if you guys know Arnie, whose last name I don't know. And he's a German fellow who has been an amazing contributor. He's the one who introduced us to ClickHouse, which is just revolutionized our handling of data. So it's and our queries from the database. So he's that's his page. He had one of dozens and dozens of pages Grafana pages that he has.
Wow.
His site is whisper.live. Have you been to whisper.live? There's
Mhm.
Oh, whisper.live. Go to his site
I need to go. Yeah.
and if you want to and if it isn't there, you send him an email and if a day later he'll have a Grafana page for you.
Wow.
Maps. The one I like the most here. I'll take this down. I'll show. I do. There is one here that you guys. I couldn't show it in the poster, so but I can show it to you guys if you've got a minute. Just it's truly eye candy. If there's anything that would be let's see, this is let me let's see. Yes, this one. Let me share this page with you. Yeah.
Wow.
How you like that? That's one of Arnie's pages. That's 40
It's
meters,
amazing.
40 meters minimum distance to 1,000 kilometers. And I think the query is for the last 15 minutes.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So let's see if we can go see all of those those are all my spots there right there in Hawaii. Those lights go to Hawaii. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's try 30 meters.
Wow.
There's just
So you're on
look at we're
Whisper.live
going
here.
yeah we can this is from whisper.live.
Oh, look, Antarctica.
Yeah, that's DP0 G I forget this is Michael. We're gonna have a
What
whisper sound
station
down
is he
there.
at? Is that South Africa?
No, this is a German station.
Oh, German,
Eh,
not Antarctica.
Yeah, the German Antarctic Station,
Okay.
and he's actually he has there's a one of the first whisper sondes, a 6-band one, is on a ship and is going to be installed down there in January by Michael Harche, Professor Harche.
Ah, very
So
good.
so we're going to have a whisper sonde on, and moving all of the Whisper sons all to Whisper mode. Now that we can, we have spreading numbers for Whisper 2, there's really no reason, no significant reason to be using 4W anymore. And anyway, there's 30 meters. Let's see what 20 meters looks like.
Hopefully we can get back into McMurdo at some point.
Well,
that'd
I
be
thought
nice.
Put
that
one there.
Gareth from I think is working on a project to put Whisper stuff down there.
Right. Yeah,
Here's-
that's correct. Yeah,
here's-
they're kind of taking over from our Dartmouth activities.
Yeah.
My
Well,
boss is retiring, so he's giving up
Ah.
the site, but we're hoping that they can take over.
oh, good. Well, anyway, here's 20 meters. Of course, it's this.
What's that one spot in the middle of
It's in
that Russia?
That's in
Siberia?
That's in Kyrgyzstan.
Well, there's
Oh my
that.
gosh.
I'm thinking of that single spot over to the left of it.
Oh, to the left of it. Well, I don't think I can. I don't think it identifies. I don't think there's a way to identify what that particular spot is.
Huh.
But there's the way to do that, of course, is to go to let's see. This is 20 meters. Well, let's go to a fill site. Wake up. Okay. Let's go to Whisper. I might have there's a Whisper.rocks right here, a tab. Come on. There it is. Let's do a search. Let's see, go back to search. My computer is now reached its limits. This is for any transmit call, any receive call for the last hour on 20 meters. Okay. There's 5K spots. Let's see if it picks it up. For some reason, there it is. Phil's site keeps poking. I think there's something up at the North Pole or something. And there he is. This is in Kyrgyzstan. This is one of the Whisper beacon network stations.
Oh, wow.
No. This is not. This is. I don't know this guy. This guy's been on forever. This is a Russian.
Russian, yeah.
And you can see he's getting out to a lot of places. So we could pick him as the as the TX call. Is that I've never done this. Okay. And go to the search back and let's just look for all of his transmissions and we won't look at anybody else. Look at that.
Wow.
I'm picking him up in Hawaii at my place. Oh no, somebody else is there picking him up. I don't know. No, that's me. Okay, that's me. I picked him up. And my sites in California are picking him up. That's I'm sure that's KPH and KFS. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is this is where I am, KFS. And you're gonna look at the spot. There's 2 spots from him. Minus 25 and minus 16. Let's see what we got from my site. Yep. Okay. KPH is a better. You see how much better KPH is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the same antenna. It's just that KPH is a quieter site and also a better RF distribution network than they have down there. But
So he's working 10 milliwatts?
that's what he's claiming. I don't believe it.
Oh, I was wondering, wow, 10 milliwatts like that.
I can't believe that's anyway. so each of these sites, the Whisper Live and Whisper Rocks, have their their own their strength and utility. But see who's picking him up. I don't know him.
Brazil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Don't know him. It's the of
That's
course
in
here's
São
the
Paulo.
BFK. This is BFK. And this is the site with the best spots. You guys you're familiar with the top spotter site? Um,
No.
oh, you're not? Okay. Well, this is another part of this is
Is
we
it-
go to this is whisper.rocks, and here's another page, top spotters. And this is the list of all the top spotters.
Oh,
So
wow.
so this is number one. Now this is sorted by the number of unique spots. Okay.
Well, Clinton number 5.
Yeah, Clint is number 5.
Ah, Clint,
Okay.
yeah, doing good.
Okay, and you can see here's my friend Uli, who's
Well,
these are all of these people are running Whisper
KFS is
Demon.
12, yeah.
Okay, I don't know this guy, VJ, but this is Whisper Demon, that's Whisper Demon, that's Whisper Demon, that's Whisper Demon, that's Whisper Demon.
Wow.
I don't know that guy, that's Whisper Demon, that's Whisper Demon, that's Steve Frankie. That's Whisper Demon. I don't know this guy. There's my KFS site.
Yeah, KFS 12.
Okay,
And
12.
KPH
Okay, you
22.
kind of have to kind of handicap people because we have a difficult location here on the West Coast. We're rather far north, and so we're far from most of the transmitters. So if this top spotters is you can sort by the number of raw spots, okay, which is it doesn't change the order a whole lot. You can change the hour. This is this is the one that Phil, the implementer of the site, prefers. This one that by distance and total distance of
Oh,
the
wow.
spots. Okay, so if you sum the distance for each spot times the number of spots, you come up with the total distance of the spots that were received in the over 24 hours. And John, who runs EA8, he has 2 sites there. This is his friend's site, and he has his own house a few blocks away. But they're in, this Canary Island site is, they're low latitude. And they have, one bounce to Europe and into the North America. So they're just nobody's going to ever beat them because of their QTH. But this is Phil likes this index because he comes in number 2 worldwide down there in Tasmania. He doesn't get many spots, but they come, all of the transmitters are so far away that he ends up being number 2 worldwide, and he also helps him beat out he has some sense of competition with this VK5 ARG. So I'm sure that Phil's very happy with this this page right now. So anyway. So
That's interesting.
if you go back to Whisper Rocks, okay, the basic Whisper Rocks, and you can see not just what I've showed you. There's a whole list of sub pages here. Top beacons. Okay, here's the top beacons list page. Okay, and I hope that we're going to see some of the beacon blasters now up here, but you can see the people who are at the top right now. These guys have banks of QDXs, one for each band, an antenna for each band. The guy I know this guy is Billy in Florida. He's got his they're in a marsh. He's got inverted V's on poles in a marsh, individual ones transmitting constantly. So it's really no surprise that he does as well as he does. What's interesting is that I don't know this guy W8AC. I don't know him, and he's also a relatively high high latitude, which
Yeah,
puts
EN9
it,
is not far from here.
yeah. EN9 isn't. Is
Well, I'm in Jacksonville. No, I forgot where I am. It shouldn't be too far from here, but I
Oh,
don't know.
okay. Well, then I don't know. This is guy. I don't know this guy, so I don't. Does he? But
Maybe so.
so I don't know him. But this is the top beacon sites, and I really don't know any of these people. These
Yeah.
are so it's interesting to see this is the first person I know. This is this is a beacon blaster that just went on air down in San Jose, Costa Rica, John.
Wow.
And he's also, oh, look at that. He's got a 6 meter spot at last. He put his beacon blaster into whisper mode and put it up on and turned on, changed 80 meters into 6 meters. And he got one spot, which means that he is tied for number one in
Yeah.
the world. Let's see, 24 hours to now. Maybe he'll do better if let's see. No, that's 24 hours to now. Nope.
Rob, I need to get going. It's kind of late
Okay.
here, but
Okay.
let me know when you're able to fix it, and then we can try again.
Then we'll go forward. I will install it. It'll be
No
running
rush,
on.
eh?
Yeah, it'll be running on the same KFS Think Center 1 machine. And you'll just start you'll start seeing that all of the files are the same size, and I'll let you know.
Perfect. Thanks,
Okay, well, I
appreciate.
gave you
have
guys a
good night.
tour. Thank you for your help. I really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Take care. Okay, guys. Well, I'm sorry. I was just rambling on because I didn't have anything substantive to say. But I want to do some tests of the beacon blasters that spreading numbers and calibrate, verify that that the whisper sounds and the 888 together in my room produce the 8 millihertz spreading numbers that we
Yeah.
expect from them.
Robert, there are not that many 6 meter transmitters.
There's not many. I'm hoping that the 888 and the whisper sound together will stimulate more 6 meter activity, especially since, as we're approaching the sunspot maximum.
Yeah, I've got a whisper transmitter I'm intending to put on 6, so I should get on to it.
Well, I know that I know that there are if I go back here, let's see, I was looking for any call, but on the band, the 6 meter band, this is what 6 meters looks like right now.
Yeah, the problem with 6 is you're getting pretty high in frequency, so you need a pretty stable oscillator.
Well, that's why you need a GPSDO, but
Right.
but
Well, that's exactly it.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
intend
let's
to
see. I don't
work that
see.
out.
Let's go
There's
back.
one-
I mean,
There's one in Maine.
well,
David.
let's see. Let's do the last 24 hours on 6 meters. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, now we got, how many spots did we come up with?
There's a bunch down in
There's
Australia.
there. It's all you can see. Okay,
very
now
few over
here. Unfortunately, Phil shows in white for the 6 meter lines,
Oh,
but you
dear.
can see. So it
Yeah.
doesn't show up as well, but you can see now you need to be careful because you're not always certain that some of these can be bogus spots, when you,
Yeah, well, of course, equatorial, I'm not too surprised.
but there's,
The East Coast ones are interesting.
let's see, there's one spot. This is a real one. John got spotted by Guyana. So that's good. That's good. Let's see let's see if we close this. Let's see who's running on the East Coast. I don't, let's see who's in New Hampshire. Who's WA1RAJ? Do any of you know him?
I don't know, but he's not my bailiwick.
Oh, well,
It's
that's
down in
only
Manchester, New Hampshire.
yeah. I can here. Let's see who he is.
Oh, Wilton. Okay.
Okay, I don't know. He doesn't have much on his page there. His QRZ
Right.
page doesn't tell us anything about him. Where am I? I'm back to. I've got so many here. Who else is transmitting or receiving? Let's see.
KO2Y.
Uh-huh.
He'd be in New York, just into New York.
Yeah. You know, I don't. Here's his QRZ page.
Oh, Connecticut. Mm-hmm. KQ2Y.
He must have licensed and then moved.
Yeah.
Well,
Either
I
that
don't.
or he got a vanity call.
Yeah.
We're not tied to a geographic region anymore.
No.
Yeah. So that's it. There's not almost no 6-meter activity. I know that Dennis and you can. I think. Let's see. Dennis in here. I don't know what the white spots indicate. People that are actually spots. What does that mean? Oh, yes. I know that this is people in my Monday group, the Cat Sam's group in Santa Rosa, and he's transmitting on 6.
Mhm.
So and he's got this is Lynn, and he's got a good antenna, stable transmitter. So I don't think I think the receiver. If we zoom in, let's see who's. I think all of those 6-meter spots are happening right in around Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is Lynn's transmit site, and this is John. He's not quite there, but anyway, that's John, and this is Doug, I think. Yeah, WWE. These are the guys in my Monday group. So if the band were to open, he would be, that you could. He is transmitting. There's some activity down here in Southern California. This is. I don't. I think this must be transmitting spots. Yeah. Okay. I don't know MQ6 B, but it looks like he has got quite a few. He's mostly he's got. Let's see. He's got a couple of guys receiving him, but these aren't very long distances. What is this? So what's the version? Spot Q. K kilometers, 164 kilometers. Yeah, that's not. He's not getting very far.
Yeah, that's just normal 6-meter
That's
local activity.
Yeah.
Yep.
This has been okay. Anyway, don't know him, but anyway, this is if you want to find out what's going on
But he's
these
doing
bands.
12 meters and up. Interesting. Up into 2 meter.
Yeah, I know that there was some. They were doing some one N3IZN or something. Who's I think is this him? Yeah, no, I don't know who it is. Who is this? Don't know this people. Okay, but anyway, one of these guys is been transmitting on 6 forever, and is also doing 8-meter transmission. I think you got a license. I don't know if we can see this band. Is this on the 8-meter band? Last 24 hours. There's some.
Australia.
Looks at it's all in the UK.
There's one in Australia.
Yeah, did we? Let's see. Let me turn them to white. That should turn them white. Oh, I'm sorry. No, they're going to turn red. Australia? Okay, but boy, they're
Sydney.
not going. Yeah, just in Sydney. there seems to be a lot of interest in whisper stuff in VHF whispering down in Australia. So I don't know. I'm hoping that with the 888's coverage for the 6-meter band, and with K9Q, you can add you can have Whisper Demon doing all bands. You can go 2,200 meters through 23 centimeters,
Right.
and log them all from one Whisper Demon server.
Yep.
So Dave, you gonna throw something up there and there in Missouri?
I have 2 disc cones in the backyard that I was gonna hook one up to set up another K9Q VHF
Yeah.
receiver and
Yeah.
use an AirSpy R2 and see, but that was a project coming up. I haven't
Yeah.
started it yet.
Well, the when you do 4 meters, I never even knew that there was. Is 4 meters still an active band? It looks
I
like it
don't know.
is. It
Well,
looks like it.
I wouldn't think around here.
But
Well,
you never know.
Yeah, the 70 megahertz. Yeah, that's
Ah,
a European.
yeah, it's a European band. Let's see this. If you sort by TX grid, let's see what we get.
Call signs are British.
K7RJ is transmitting.
Yeah.
Or being misreported by who?
Yeah,
who's
there's some
reporting?
EN53.
Who
Yeah,
is the
55.
KC9VNU? He could be I suspect this is KC9VNU has mistuned his
Oh,
WS. Okay, his
KM1NDY,
WSA.
I know her.
Yeah. So
She's local.
these are
Mindy.
this is the problem here is that KC9VNU has tuned his receiver to some band and told his transceiver to 40 meters and told
Yeah.
WSJTX he's on 4
4.
meters.
A
Yeah.
typo.
So these are all probably 40-meter spots that by accident he hit the 4-meter pull down on JTX. Anyway, that's why we got that's okay.
Let's see.
Those are mislabeled. But you can spend your life. This is like watching YouTube cat videos. I mean, you can you can spend your life poking around and
Yes.
seeing what's going
Yeah.
on. This last
Yeah, I
24
suppose. Well, like I know KM1NDY. She's here in Massachusetts, and you probably could look up her call sign for other spots and find out what she's actually transmitting.
Yeah. I guess that it's 40 and
40
4.
or 20.
40 and 4. And the pull down in WSJTX has a 40 and a 4-meter selection.
Oh, okay.
And
That
she
could be-
and he, the guy, this KC4, selected 4 instead of 40 in his
Right.
JTX pull down. That's why he's
Yep.
so. And he's not looking at his own spots. He's not looking at what he's reporting. He doesn't know that he's making. Well, I didn't see anybody on 23 meters. Let's see, 23 centimeters. Let's see if we go to 70 centimeters. We'll pick up some. That it? That
One.
looks like a bogus spot.
It's a French
That's-
call.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. The receive call.
Is SWR.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Shortwave
Maybe.
listener.
Yeah, it's the RX call makes sense. The transmit call makes sense, but you would expect to see more than one receiver.
Yes.
I mean, but maybe not on this band. Maybe it, maybe it isn't a bogus spot. There's 70
maybe
centimeter.
they arranged it to see if it worked.
Yeah, maybe that's just they're running a test, and there we got lots. There's lots of 2-meter whisper. It looks
Oh.
like. Unless somebody's picked 2 instead of 20 meters.
Is it okay if I shut down the recording at this point?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Dave was expressing interest in. And so I was showing what's